like, right. I never heard how that.
And you walk on the water for us?
Right. Right.
Hey, I'm feeling like a little wine. Here's a glass of water.
Who's hungry? Let me call that. Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I never, I have no idea how that really went away, I've never read where it's just like,
the fact that
even Neil Aspinall or someone just kind of was like, just kind of smirked and said like, so then, John came back to earth, like it just, you know what I mean? I never heard anything that was just like, I don't know. I mean, it's a testament to John Lennon and his reputation. It just went away. No one called him on it.
Slightly related. I was listening to an interview with Leo Sayer.
Wow.
Of You Make Me Feel Like Dancing fame.
Yeah.
And he kind of like, I kind of feel like he's sort of, this is sort of a Donovan story, even though Donovan was much more in the circle. So he was an artist. He was a painter. And he did album covers. He actually did like some Traffic album covers, and like in the late '60s. So in 1969, he's in an art. He's in a building, and his art studio is in there that he's working in, and it's the same building Yoko is in. And because of, I guess, sort of the chemicals and stuff, and people would go in the courtyard to smoke, and so he'd go out to smoke, and he would see John out there all the time. But to be cool, he never acknowledged who he was. It would be like, hey, you got a light, or you got it, and they would talk, and never really even talked about music. It was just, one, right. And he ends up being in a band, and he's at a couple years later, I guess, and he's in a studio, and John is in the studio. Like, I forget what album he's working on or whatever. And they're bringing him through the studio, and Leo Sayer's there. And Leo said he hasn't made his first record yet. This is him making his first record. And John goes, hey, you're the guy, you're my smoking buddy. and he goes, I'm a Beatle. and he's like, I know you were. I was trying to be cool about it. I thought that was a great story.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's
Leo,
great.
when I need love.
That's as good as, like, I know, like, you guys just went and saw Devo play. And did we talk about that one when Mark Mothersbaugh?
I know we have on past shows.
I didn't know if we talked about it on this or we talked about it just like,
Yeah.
But he meets him outside of Max's and
drunk.
And like Mark Mothersbaugh is talking to someone outside of the place, and John like walks up. Is he in a cab or whatever? And John kind of walks up to the cab and sticks his head in the window, or
something like that. I don't know the actual thing, but it was outside Max's. I know, but yeah.
And he just looks at him and goes, yeah. Like, and lays that on him.
Like, yeah,
man. That's so awesome.
Like, you got it. Yeah. It was Mothersbaugh's 72nd birthday at the show.
Wow.
And
you were there at the birthday show. All right.
Birthday show. And he said he was it was, he first came to New York with Devo in 1975. Because I've never been able to sort of corroborate, because John would have been on his sabbatical, when he I guess he still went out and saw Devo, right? This is like Sean is either not
when he came back with May, and they lived in the Village, or not in the Village, like
I don't know,
34th Street or something,
But so that's what I'm saying. It's like, so if Mothersbaugh said like Devo's, like, I can't find a Max's Kansas City show for them before 1977. So that it would probably be one of those. Like, I understand. Maybe it just happened, like, because Max's wasn't a hot hangout by the late 70s. It wasn't like a celebrity hang. So he went to see, Devo and the B-52. Like, he had heard about this stuff through like Bowie and stuff. Like, because Bowie and Eno were both trying very hard to produce Devo's first record, and eventually did it. They brought him to I think Berlin to do it, or Munich maybe, and Devo sort of famously has said it's like, yeah, we were such assholes, like, Eno did some great stuff and we just mixed it out. Yeah. So he
looks good. I saw a picture of him recently, and I was just like, you know what? Like, he looks like a distinguished English gentleman now.
Well, he's made a lot of money.
Why isn't he playing with Roxy on tour?
Are you talking about Brian Ferry?
No, Brian Eno.
Oh, well, so there's a bit of they talk about Eno with Roxy Music as though he was with them for a very short period of time.
Yeah, that might be true, but
he was literally their sound man, and he wouldn't be from the soundboard. He would mix in like weird noise tapes and stuff like that, and eventually, I guess with either the advent of a more usable synthesizer or whatever, they moved him up on stage. And he didn't like it very much. So he left and just started working on it because he had he has like a billion ideas, and staying in one band doing one thing was never. So, this is what he contributed. It wasn't like, why isn't he on the road? I'm just
saying, so here it is in 2022 and Roxy's out on the road, and, would be another draw a nice paycheck for him too, unless he just.
Well, Brian, does not need a paycheck, right?
No kidding, huh?
Think about think about having a piece of every U2 record.
I don't know. Does he? Okay, so he has a piece of every U2 record.
He's a producer. He was a producer starting with the fourth album with like Unforgettable Fire and Joshua Tree and like everything after that, right? All the ones that are,
the ones that I never bought.
The ones that sold 5 million to 15 million copies. Yep.
It's sorry about that.
Yeah. So he's paid. He's paid big time. And then I think they also, because of their worship of U2, I think he also does Coldplay records. So he has those paychecks too.
I didn't know that.
And he's also, he's like he gets paid to just be kind of like the big thinker, Brian Eno, one brain. That's kind of what's a play on. But so yeah, no. So the Roxy, I don't know. So the guys in Roxy Music also, it's like, well, we're going to make just as much money. Like, we have no problem selling out the Garden. Why would,
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not playing that theater in Staten Island that we discussed last time?
No, that's Moxie Music's playing a tribute to Roxy Music. Yeah. With Lion Ferry, their lead singer. It's I always joke that they name all the ferry boats in New York, and someone should name one of the ferry boats Brian.
But anyway, in addition to those kind of acts going out, I believe the B-52s are on a farewell tour.
Yeah. Their last tour of the planet is how they're advertising that one. With opening act is the Tubes.
Wow.
No. And there's someone else too, but they're doing like a couple nights, I think, at Beacon Theater. So, I was listening to the last show. Actually, I think you just posted show, so this may not necessarily true, but there was one where we were talking about when was the Beatles' last British show, because we talked about we were coming off at like Get Back, and they toured America and broke up, and 66. And so their last British tour was 65, but they did one show in May of 66. They did the Enemy, award show, which they weren't allowed to be filmed.
Right.
And so, but then, so I'm like, okay. And I'm trying to find, so December 65 is their last British tour. And I'm trying to find when, and I'm Googling like last show or whatever. Then I found something I also didn't know about. So John Lennon's last show in the UK is in December of 69, December 15, 1969. Like that was like, first of all, incredibly late for me to think, but it was the Plastic Ono Band with Bonnie and Delancey featuring George Harrison and Eric Clapton. So you had John and George and Yoko and Eric Clapton on stage December 1969. Mm-hmm. So this is like, he's quit the band. They're hush hush about it. Paul, I think, is already in Scotland, right? Isn't he at this point? He's Life magazine have found him, and he kind of passingly mentions that now that the Beatles are done or something like that, and it doesn't really blow up because it wasn't like, it's just not that clear, and like whether or not he meant recording Abbey Road or something like that, or I don't know if they picked it up as being over, but this show happens, and it's sort of a I think it's George jamming on Have You Seen, it's only, Don't Worry, Kyoko, It's Only Mommy Looking for Him.
Is it the Cambridge 69?
It is. let's see. What do I know about it? It's the Lyceum, London, December 15th, 1969. Plastic Ono Band, Bonnie and Delaney, and their touring band, and George was just sort of quietly with Eric laying low as members of the touring band when you could get away with that.
Who's in John's band at the time? Is it Klaus and the gang? Alan White?
I think
playing drums?
Yes, I think so. Because remember, this is after Live Peace in Toronto. So I think it's kind of that band again.
Is Eric playing both bands?
Yes. So I think that's the connection, and
you think George Harrison's on stage with him playing "Don't Worry, Yoko"?
There is film footage of it, and it's just in the background, and Yoko's wailing up front, and they're all, but it's not even like George and John, or I could share the video clip with you, but it's like George is he's got his beard and his long hair, but he's got like a cap on.
Because I own that one called Cambridge '69, but I thought that was just John and Yoko freak out, like where John goes up and just like plays feedback.
Oh, that's my life.
And they actually,
that's my life.
That came out on like Zapple, maybe.
Yeah, that's my life with the Lions, or whatever it's called. Yeah, that's with the picture of him.
It's just called Life of the Lions, not My Life.
Okay.
In my life, it's in my life with the Lions. I think.
In my day of the life with Lions. Yeah, so that was I'll send you the video clip, but it is it looks like they do Cold Turkey too. Cold Turkey and Don't Worry. It's The War Is Over 1969. That's what it's called.
Who plays on the Cold Turkey single? John, Klaus, Alan White.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is on that?
Is there anybody else?
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Is that just the three of them?
You
Ringo
think
doesn't play drums?
You think you think there's another guitar player? It's Ringo. Ringo is the drummer.
Ringo.
It's Ringo, Eric, Klaus, John.
Eric.
Yes.
Who's this Eric chap? Eric Clapton?
Eric Chaplin, related to Charlie. That's a pretty good band.
And who's playing bass? Klaus
Vormann. There you go. The original.
That's a pretty cool lineup. If you're Klaus,
I heard an interview with him from less than a year ago, and it's funny. He's just kind of like, you're asking me things I don't remember, like you know.
Oh.
And he talks about how he can't find he doesn't know where the original artwork for Revolver is. Like, someone has he does have a picture of the original artwork with it's kind of taped together and glued together, but he says the original artwork, he doesn't know where it is. So
I want to bring up a little bit of world political news to tie things back around. If our listening audience hasn't heard, but there was an election recently in the Philippines, and the Marcos family is back in. And we've mentioned this guy before in a story we told. I
highly doubt Paul is going to be playing there.
Bong Bong is now president of the Philippines, and he was mentioned in our first season when the Beatles had their fallout there. They had a run-in. So I thought, and I didn't know. You mentioned in the story when we originally said it, and you mentioned something about Bong Bong, and then I'm watching this recent news story, and they go through like, Melda and Marcos' son is elected, and they say his name, and I'm like, oh my God, that's incredible.
There he is. That's interesting, John. Like it, because Paul McCartney's such a world traveler these days with his band and stuff, and like things like. I guess like I wouldn't be surprised that George Harrison certainly never played there again, and John wouldn't have had the chance, and but like even Ringo at this point,